Hello everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania in Australia. Thanks for joining me this morning. I can see I've got a couple of people on already. That's really great. Pop in and say hi when you do. That'd be lovely to know who's watching and where you're from. It'd be great to know as well. So welcome to Sunday morning where I am recording from, but wherever you happen to be, a Saturday evening or a Sunday afternoon if you're in New Zealand, I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to be crafting with the Dove of Hope stamp set and Detailed Dove dies. They come together in a bundle, so if you like what you see you can actually buy them both together and save 10%, which is a great deal. I'm playing with this stamp set in particular because it's going to be my October 2020 class by mail, so I'm having a bit of a play to try and find some good some nice designs for my class attendees, the people who buy my class. So if you like what you see, check my Facebook page and it'll show you how to enroll for that class next month. The cards that I'm showing you today aren't the ones I've chosen for that class. They're sort of like the cards that I rejected, not that they're not beautiful, it's just that I found 3 designs that I absolutely love, so you'll be seeing those for the class. Bear with me, I'll just bring in I've cut everything I need. I'm going to do 3 cards today with this stamp set. One I'm going to step up a bit, and one I haven't actually finished making, so it's going to be a bit of an experiment. Let's see how it turns out when it's all together, whether it turns out like it will be in my head. Okay, so the first card I'm going to do today is this little one here. I don't know what the fold is called. It's sort of like a single card back, and it has this little flap at the front here. So we'll call it a flap fold front if you like, but I'm sure if anyone's watching knows what it's actually called officially in card speak, please let me know. So this stamp set, or the bundle at least, has this beautiful dove that you can cut out in white. I'm not a good one for white. I tend to get grubby finger marks all over it, so hopefully today I will be successful in not getting grubby finger marks all over it. So be careful if you're like me, make sure your hands are clean them in between using glue and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to step this one up a little bit. When I did this one I thought it's nice, but it's not got the wow value, so I thought I'll step it up a little bit, and I'm going to substitute the white that's here as a layer. I'm going to put the silver there instead, so I'll see if it actually gives it a bit more oomph. So let's get started. So here it is. I've got everything I need to cut. You don't have to watch me cutting, although I am doing a lot of cutting with my beautiful new cut and emboss machine, and I might bring that in a bit later to show you, but it is to die for. It's wonderful. Okay, so to make this card this is a Night of Navy. So we've got Night of Navy here, and it's 5 3/4 by 4 1/8 inch. So it's just like half a card. It's like if you scored in a cut instead of scored, that would be your card base. Then I've got another piece of Night of Navy, which is 8 1/4 long by 3 inches wide, and I've scored that in the middle, and that forms the little sort of card, the little mini card that sits in the middle there. I've got a panel of Whisper White, which is just smaller, that I'm going to pop in the centre there for our sentiment. And then this is the silver. So I've got the silver. So you start with one piece of silver foil that is 1/4 inch smaller than your Night of Navy. So if I pop that in there like that, you'll see as a single piece it's got 1/4 inch around, so it would be 5 1/2 by 3 7/8. And then I've just chopped it in bits because, as we know, that actually looks a bit bigger. Just measure that, bear with me for a minute. It looks longer than it should. I'm wondering if I've picked up the wrong piece. Yes, I have. I mustn't have trimmed it properly. Thought it was a bit longer than it needed to be. Okay, there we go. So now it's 5 3/4. It wasn't before. Okay, so we've got our silver. So as I say, if you sit the silver on there, you'll see it's 5 1/2 by 3 7/8. But what I've done is I've cut it up. So silver foil and gold foil, they don't grow on trees, do they? So basically I've cut it up so that I can use just the pieces that are going to be visible. So these ones here on either side I think are 1 3/8 wide, and this one is 2 3/4 wide. So I've chopped it into 2 pieces of 1 3/8 and one of 2 3/4. And then I have this wonderful designer series paper from last year, but it carried on to this year, thankfully. And the name has abandoned me. Excuse me. The Feels Like Frost designer series paper. Got some lovely sort of silver on one side and some coloured scenes and frosty scenes on the other. So that's really, really nice. I like using that one. Okay, so and I've got that cut into 3 pieces as well, and each one would be 1/8 of an inch smaller than the silver. So 1 1/4 by 3 3/4, and then this one would be what's that? 2 3/4, 2 5/8. There we go. So they're all going to sit in together like that. So what I might do is actually start that first, since it's all got quite measuring and confusing. I'll put the measurements in my in the description, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, who have I got on? Sally. Good morning, Sally, and Kathy. Thanks for joining me, Kathy. So I'm going to just start with the 2 pieces that go on either end, the smaller ones, and then I'm going to position the larger one in the middle. So as I say, I've substituted the white for a bit of silver, just to give it a bit of oomphness. So just make sure you have the same gap, top, bottom and side, so you know you've got it in the right spot. So there and there. So the foil, when you glue the foil, it does take a little bit longer to set. So our pieces of designer series paper, I've got foil on foil there. That's going to be like, I don't know, ice skating or something, I should think. I'm going to pop those. So probably leave that aside for a little while, which is probably good timing, so that we can let it set properly, the glue, the right way. Yeah, so I think I can tell that that's going to be a little bit more special, a bit specialer straight away. Forgive the band-aids on my fingers. I was out in the garden yesterday having my regular spring slash and burn session, my husband calls it. That's my gardening style, survival of the fittest, and some of the trees and bushes and things fought back, so I've got a bit of work-related injury. Okay, so this is the piece of silver foil for the centre, so I'm just going to pop that on there and do the same with the paper. So there we are. Okay, you can tell that that's sort of slipping around all over the place, so I'm going to leave that alone once I've got it where I like it. So as you can see now, we're going to bring in that centre one's just going to sit nicely just on top like that, just so it covers over the very edges of the silver, just like that. Yeah, I like that. That's great. So hopefully you guys like that as well. Okay, so we'll pop those aside. Just, she says be careful, and she's just been a bit rough with it. And we'll pop our Dove of Hope together. So the Dove of Hope, I'll show you the dies. He comes with lots of bits and bobs. He's got his wings, obviously, so you've got the wing there. There's got one sort of like a highlight wing with all the sort of feather details on there, and a solid one that pops up behind it. And just get rid of the bits, just like that. So that one pops up behind it, so it gives it a solid sort of 3D sort of feel. So I've got another one of those. Then this is his body, And it's really cute because it's actually embossed, so you can see he's got little feather details on there. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if I'm bringing it into the right place or not. My webcam's a little bit funny at the moment, a little bit high. Anyway, so there. And he's got a little sort of detail bit or behind bit that pops. Oh, I've just bent his beak. Ooh, that pops behind there just to give his tail that same sort of feathery detail. Okay, so, and I've done a little, it's got a little olive branch there, and I've obviously done that in old olive, which is obviously the appropriate colour. There's a couple of other dies here, which is some other flying doves, and I'll use those in the next couple of cards, and a little bauble and some olive branches and things, so we'll see all those in a second. Okay, so I'm going to assemble my dove. So I'm just going to put glue, and you can put glue all over it if you like, but I just like it on the top there, just on the top where his where the solid part of his wing is, and I'm just going to glue that to the base of the wing underneath, and so it just glues that very top bit, and it lets the rest sort of flap quite appropriate, flap around free. So that it just gives that extra bit of 3D. So if you're worried about that going in the mailing, I'd be putting glue all over that as well. I'm going to do the same with his little tail piece. Just a tiny bit of glue on the end, and then assemble that. Now here's where I will get gluey mess everywhere and make horrible messes, so forgive me. I'll give my hands a bit of a wipe in a minute. Okay, so that's there, and then I've just got two of the plain bits, so you run that die through twice, so you got two of those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop him together before I glue him down. So I'm going to put the plain wing, if it could be called that, behind, just so that looks like he's in flight, and then the sort of fancy wing at the front like that. So just get those in the right position so he looks like he's, there we go. So that's how I'm going to have it there, just so you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. Everything looks a bit distant in my cam, but I'm looking in a very tiny little picture. So I'm just going to add some glue to that, just a little bit down here. And pop that in there. I'm going to try and make it look as natural as possible. Not that I see many doves flying around sunny Bellerive. Lots of pigeons, not many doves. And that one there. So the good bit with our glue is that I've got some time to fiddle with it to get them in the right position, just like that. Awesome. Okay, so that's pretty nice. I like that. I didn't think I would. Actually, I was putting off buying it, but I actually quite like that one. So here we go. So he's all together. So what I'll do now is I've got the largest of the stitched circles in Night of Navy cardstock, and that's going to go onto the front here. So I'll bring our card back. Everything should be glued on now. I'm going to glue this little piece onto the centre, just there. So that should line up, the way we've cut that should line up perfectly top and bottom with the card base, hopefully. Just like that. Then I'm going to pop this circle in the centre of the front. That seems a shame to cover over that paper, doesn't it? Here we go. And then I'll bring in the dove. Bring in the dove. Just put some glue. It's going to overlap a little bit, so don't put too much glue on. And I'm going to pop him just there. Just like that. It doesn't matter too much if he overlaps the edge. I think it's quite nice if he actually does. sort of overlap the edge of that front panel a wee bit. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue under his head. Oh, a bit too much glue under his head. Wait a minute. What have I got? Oh, got nothing. Oh. Just tap that out. That'll dry clear, so it's okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to give him his olive branch, just a tiny little olive branch in old olive, and I'll pop that sort of roughly where his mouth would be, just there. There we are. So there he is, sort of looking all peaceful and hopeful and dove-like. Okay, so what we'll do now is might give him a sentiment. I might put this one inside first before I use it. I've got a horrible feeling I'll pick it up and use it for my sentiment and then not have one ready. So we'll do that. Pop that in there. Just like that. Cool. Right. So I'm going to give him some bling. Oh, excuse me. I fell off my chair. Oh, I had my bling here somewhere. Here it is. Just some lovely silver basic rhinestones. Bring in my pick tool. And I'm going to pop the rhinestones. I'm going to put a nice big one just down here. And a medium one at the top. And then a small one just in there, nestled in there. Part of me wants to put a rhinestone here, but I have a feeling that would look like the dove was pooping, relieving himself, so I'll keep away from that part. Maybe that's only me that thinks things like that, possibly. Anyway, okay, so there we are. So he needs a sentiment, so I will bring in a piece of scrap here. I want my Night of Navy ink. And I'm going to use this really sweet Peace on Earth sentiment. Grab a block. There we are. And I'm actually going to grab my scissors and cut that out so it's shaped the same as the sentiment. So just follow the shape of the letters. You've got to sort of anticipate where the letters dip in and dip out. Somebody in my lounge room is singing. Don't know about that. Bringing out here for the P. Bit wobbly there. Bring it round. Follow that curve. Come in and then down. There we are. So you've just got the shape of our sentiment there. So I'm going to pop that on some dimensionals. Oop. That's my eldest son in the lounge room. If you've got a particularly loud voice, he's a bit like his mum. So I don't know what he's talking about. But whatever it is, it's usually loudly. Regardless of whether his mum's recording a video. Don't know if he took that hint or not. Okay, so I'm going to pop that sentiment on there, just on the edge of that little flap. And just there, like that. Okay, so let's have a look. There we are. So it says Peace on Earth is that first stamp, and then the sort of complementary little stamp is just this tiny little cute one here, which actually says, and hope in your heart. So I think that's lovely. especially at the moment. I think we could all do with a bit of hope in our hearts. I don't know about you guys, I definitely could. I'm going to pop that just on the inside here, and again in Night of Navy. There we go. It leaves plenty of room in there to write to your friends, yeah, and wish them a Merry Christmas. Okay, so I'll get some of this glue off my fingers. Wipe that sentiment down too. And so that is our first card for today. I hope you like that one. I'll bring in the other one and you can tell me whether you prefer the silver or the white, although I don't think there's actually much of a competition. Silver just adds to it. Really, really lovely. Okay, so we've got the silver one here and the plain white one with the white background that I made earlier, the template. So you can see the silver's got some pretty special sort of, makes that, just lifts it that little bit, I think, just to make it pretty special. Okay, so that is card number 1. I hope you like that one. I'll just pop that one aside and we'll go to card number 2. That's pretty good. We'll be finished in our hour. So the second card I'm going to do is this one, and this is really, really sweet. I love this. It's just plain white. There's not much to it at all, but this sort of, the merging of this little light, this sort of blue sky almost, sort of into the white, I think is really sweet. Now, one problem with this, I actually originally sponged the white so that it was in the top left-hand corner because I wanted the sky to be up, obviously. But then I realised that our dove is actually, he's facing the wrong direction for that. So I had to flip it so the dove would be pointing to the middle. So the second one I'm going to do the sponging on the top right-hand corner so our dove can be coming down and looking inwards. It just looked a bit funny with the dove sort of heading off. It was like the dove of peace has sort of decided to leave the building, so to speak. Anyway, so let's get that one. Thank you, Sally. Yes, silver, I think so. I think so too. Okay, so for this little one, I have, no, that's the third card, that one. I just have, and as I say, this is just so simple. I have a plain white, thick, whisper white, thick card base. It's actually a little bit shorter than my normal 5 3/4. It's actually only 5 1/2. Yeah, so 5 1/2 by 8 1/4. And so that's scored in half. The reason I've made it shorter is because I want it to be the same sort of distance all around this little stitched rectangle. So this is the largest of the stitched rectangles. So it's about as big as you can get in that set. If you didn't have it, you could just cut yourself a piece of cardstock 3 3/4 by 5 1/8, and that's basically all you need. So I'm going to be working on that one, and as I say, I'm going to bring the sky down that way rather than up from the bottom. Okay, so I've got my Seaside Spray ink pad and a dauber. Where's my dauber? I did put it back, I hope. That's which one is it? Ink. Is it that one? Don't think so. I might start a fresh one. I don't want any dauber disasters. Anyway, so let's start with this one. So as I say, I'm going to bring the sky down from the top right hand corner. So just a tiny bit of, well, a bit of ink, and it's just, this took me a little while to do before, so you just bear with me, and everything's going to wobble. We already know that everything's going to wobble in Julianne's craft room. So just bringing it down. And so I actually want it to be quite dark at the top and sort of gradually get softer and paler as it comes down. So just circular sort of motions, and if you find a bit you want it sort of even out, just give it a bit of a harder go, but just bringing that down like that. And it doesn't even matter, I don't think, that it's slightly speckly, because it sort of gives the idea of a sort of sort of a speckly cloudy day, or you know, partially cloudy day with a light cloud. Okay, I quite like that. That's fine. So that's really the hardest part of this card. There we go. Is just that sort of blue sky. I'll get my Doorbell back there. Okay, so we're going to have this really cute little dove here, which is out of the stamp set. So I'll bring him in. Here he is. And I'll stamp him just in black. There's already one little guy there. I was just experimenting with him, and he was the one that didn't make it to the final cut. I used Wink of Stella to actually merge in his grey a little bit, and it didn't quite work very well. So we're going to go back to the grey, back to the drawing board. So there he is. He's so cute. He's got this little olive leaf in his beak, as you would if you were a dove. And I'm going to just grab some light and dark gold olive. That's a light one, dark one, light and dark, and to colour in his little offering. So I'm just going to give him a light old olive and a dark, slightly darker leaves. And then I'm going to bring in the light smoky slate. Just going to give him some little highlights around the edges, just some shadow. Just some shadow. Oh, I remember now. My youngest has got some friends coming over to play board games. That's what the noise is. They've decided to do it when Mum's live. Okay, so just around the edge, just some shadow there under his neck. And I'm going to colour in his beak a grey as well. Then what I'm going to do to soften those lines is bring my colour lifter in, and I'm just going to just merge those lines slightly, just to give it a softer appearance. Okay. Just softening off the edges of that grey, just with little circular motions. Okay. There we are. That's quite cute. Okay, so now the moment of truth. I'm going to bring in my favourite thing in the whole entire world, drum roll, is, hopefully it won't wobble things too much because that will make it just really bad. I'm going to bring in my new cut and emboss machine. Ah, here it is. Oh, I'm just being careful because everything's going to crash to the floor. There we are. It's just so pretty. And you can see I've used that plate already quite extensively because everything I want to do at the moment seems to have embossing, cutting involved. Funny that. So I'm just going to pop our little dove in here. Hopefully keep him in the right place. I have the magnetic plate in my next order, so I'm really looking forward to getting that. Oh, I'm at a funny angle here, apologies. It really is quite easy, it's just that I'm at a funny angle. I usually come in from above to position them. There we go. And just turn that hand, just so smooth. Or as smooth as it can get in my particular craft room anyway. Okay, so there we go. I'll pop that back. Okay, so there's our little dove friend here, there, and I'm going to have him coming in from on high, just down like that. Then again, I'm going to use the Peace on Earth sentiment again, but this time I'm going to do it in black. And I just re-inked this black, so hopefully it'll be nice and sharp and dark. Let's see. Yeah, might need a little bit more. Oh well, that's cool, we'll go with that. I've got another one there, might try that. Let's see if this one's a bit juicier. Yep, that one's better. Okay, so we'll use that. And I'm just going to pop this just here, just at the sort of the gap between the little sky and the white. I'm just going to pop that there. Nice, nice. Sometimes I surprise myself. Now, Mr. Dove, I'm going to pop him on dimensionals as well. Just a couple, just the little ones, just on his tail and his wing and his head. And maybe one on his tummy as well. There we go. And this one is practically finished. I don't think it needs any bling or anything. There we go. Okay, so that's that one. I'm going to just pop that onto the card base, assuming that that was the card base there, just with some glue. There we are, and I actually quite like the fact that that blue sort of cuts off really suddenly at the edge of that stitched rectangle. It's just sort of, that's it, and then you've got the beautiful crisp clear white border around it. So with the other one I might do the complementary stamp as well, the other half of the sentiment. And as we saw before, it says, and hope in your heart. And I'm going to bring that in black also. There we are. Nice. I don't think it needs anything. Sort of, it's nice and simple on the outside. It doesn't really need to be too fussy on the inside. Not lose things here. A bit of a clean off. Okay, so that, bring it out, is card number 2. There we are. So yes, definitely makes more sense with the dove coming in from above like that. Makes much more sense than him sort of coming up from the bottom. But anyway, as I say, he was facing that direction and he sort of had to come in from that direction, so from that side. Or at least that's me, I thought he had to. So hopefully you like that. That's the sort of actual one, the real one. But yeah, so that's really sweet and I really like that, and I like the effectiveness of that daubing as well. Nice and simple on the inside. So there we are, that's card number 2. So let's move on. Card number 2. Okay. Now for the third card today, I'm going okay. For the third card today, I haven't made this card yet. I know what I want it to look like and it's mostly cut, but I haven't actually assembled it. So let's see how we go. I might just pop these stamps away so I don't get myself confused. Okay, cool. So I'm going to use, for this last card, I'm going to use this guy here, the bigger dove. Excuse me, he looks a bit like a seagull. Anyway, so I'm going to use him this time. Okay, so what I have is my usual card base, 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. Could know that off by heart now, and it's folded in half, and that is the thick Whisper White. Then what I've got is a panel, and you probably have to go with me here because I probably have done it already. A panel of Smoky Slate, which is 1/4 inch smaller, so it's 5 1/2 by 3 7/8. So what I did first of all is I die cut this stitched rectangle out of the middle. So I did that first, and then what was left around the outside I actually popped through the winter snow embossing folder. So that's just on the outside there, and that's really nice. And this, I was similarly unimpressed with this embossing folder when I was using my old die cut machine. It just wasn't crisp, it wasn't clear. It was nice, but it was a bit meh. But putting it through with the new embossing, with the cut and emboss machine, the snowflakes are crisp, clear, and sort of sharp, and it's a completely different embossing folder. So you know, it does matter. Things obviously do get loose when a machine is getting a little bit old. Okay, so that panel is going to go just straight onto my card base. Now I'm going to glue that now. So as I say, I have made this one in my head, but I haven't actually put it together yet, so let's see how we go. I'm going to pop him just there. So this is going to be a landscape card as well. It's going to be, rather than our usual portrait numbers. Just move that a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, so then I'm going to be layering up with these other stitched rectangles. So the one I took out from the center is going to be in the middle. So you need to get 3 stitched rectangles that sort of go downwards in size. So 3, 2, 1 sort of thing. That's what you're actually after. That's the side. So I'm going to then layer these up with on top of there. I'm going to put the top one onto dimensionals, so that gives a bit of 3D, bit of interest. But these ones I'm just going to glue on. So you cover over, obviously you cover over the hole that you made with your die cut. This is a good thing to do with silver and gold foil if you want to just, you know, rationalize that a little bit and not use a whole sheet. In fact, originally this card was going to have silver, so you can see I've actually done that with silver foil, so you can use the same piece outside. That's sort of good because I mean silver foil and gold foil aren't cheap, but I just decided to do it with the slate as well. Then I'm going to layer in the slate layer. Make sure I get the right way up. Just in there. So I love the white and the grey. It's just such a lovely contrast. And this is the top one. This is in Whisper White as well. It's going to go on there eventually, but I'm going to decorate it first. So here I have the other dove, the one that looks like a seagull, and I've stamped him in grey granite. Grey granite. Why did I use grey granite? Or did I use grey granite paper as well? Bear with me. I could be wrong. No, it's definitely smoky slate. But I've done it in grey granite. Oh well. Or don't I have smoky slate ink? Sure I do. No. Oh well. In this particular case, the dove has been stamped in grey granite, which probably wouldn't have been the ink of my choice, but that's what I've done because it's slightly different to the grey that I've used. So I'm going to have him sort of there on this panel, but I'm also going to have the sentiment, which I'm going to use this one here, which is peace, joy and love, and I'm also going to have him landing on a fig, on an olive branch as well, so that's going to be there, if you can imagine that. Fig, come here. That's going to sort of be there, and I'll colour it in, and then he's going to come in down there, and then the sentiment will be along the top. There you go. I've done it. We don't need to do it now. Card is done. There you go. Leaving nothing to the imagination. Okay, so I'm going to put the sentiment on first because my usual trick is that I put everything on and then have no room for my sentiment. So I'm going to pop it on first. What colour am I going to use? I might use black actually, just to make it stand out a little bit. I might regret that decision. Let's see. You can always turn it over. Paper has 2 sides. I'm just going to pop that sort of as top right as I think I'll get away with. There we go. And then I'm going to stamp this olive branch, and I am going to do that in what I am going to do that in. I'm going to do that in black, grey granite. There you are. I've committed grey granite. Okay, there we are. I'm just bringing that up from the bottom. There we are. I'm going to use the same colours that I used with the other olive branch to just colour that in. So the light and dark old olive. I think I may regret not doing that in the black too. Maybe shouldn't let myself wing it too much, so to speak. There we are. And the little olives. Okay. Alright, so then that's going to pop on here like that. And our Mr. Dove is going to come in like that. Maybe like that. Yeah, I like that. How do we think of that? That's not too bad, I don't think. Okay, so as I said, I was going to pop this one up. Actually, I think I'll glue that flat and then put our dove on dimensionals. I think that would probably be okay. We don't want too much dimensional build up. It's like the shoulder pads we used to wear in the 80s. You'd have shoulder pads in your shirt, and shoulder pads in your jacket, and then shoulder pads in your coat. You end up, you looked a bit like, I don't know, the Incredible Hulk. I think I remember I've got pictures where I'd sort of wish that my shoulders were taller than my head just about. So I'm going to pop Mr. Dove on some dimensionals. There we are. And we're popping him just so he sort of covers over a part of that stalk of that bush a little bit, but then he also sort of frames the sentiment as well. There we are. Oh, I like that. That's really nice. And I think he could do with some bling as well. And I'm just wondering whether he needs a bit of a colour to his bling. Or just a silver. Let's do it just silver, since I've got them here in my hand. Okay. Matter of working out where. I'm not a natural at this placement of things. I do have to muck around with it a bit. I think there. Okay. That's okay. You guys are probably yelling out, not there, not there. But anyway, that's where I've put them. Okay, so there is our little dove on his layers with his snowflakes in the background. Not that we get much snow in Australia at Christmas time, but sometimes we do here in Hobart. We've been known to. And I'm going to use the sentiment, the nice larger sentiment, the feature sentiment from the set. I'm going to pop that inside. And the sentiment says, "May your season be filled with all the wonder and blessings of Christmas." That's really nice. It's not too over the top, it's not too gushy, but it's just really, really sweet. Okay, so I'm going to pop that strangely for me, I'm going to pop it straight in the centre. There we are. Okay, so that's card number 3. That was basically the one I was winging it with. It's quite funny, given it's got a bird on it. Ha, I'm a card. Anyway, so let's compare our 3 cards that we've made today. So we've got our beautiful sponged sky, our dove of peace coming towards us. We've got our snowflakes and peace, love and joy and love there. And we've got the fancy fold, which we don't know the name of, in the silver, and the Knight of Navy. So there we are. So that's our 3 cards for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope everyone who's watching on replay has get something from it as well. Thanks so much. I do usually go live every Sunday morning, which is Sunday morning local time, and also on Fridays often as well during the day. So keep an eye out for notifications, and please pop over to my Facebook page if you'd like to follow my follow and keep in touch with things, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's the best way of doing things, of course. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, everyone. As I say again, we're using the Dove of Hope stamp set and the dies, and I think they'll be lovely for this Christmas and beyond. It's really, really, really lovely little set. Okay, so thanks very much. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time.